I wasn't home alone, but I was the oldest. My aunt would leave each night to go to work, and I, along with my cousin and friends, would stay the night. One night, all of them decided to go hang out at a friend's house in the neighborhood. I was antisocial and decided I would stay and watch the younger cousins. They were all asleep, and I was listening to music when I heard a noise. The noise was coming from the window. I felt safe because I was surrounded by family. Both grandmothers, an aunt, and several other people lived in the neighborhood. No one would try to break in, as you could literally leave your door unlocked. However, someone was coming through the window. I ran to it again because I felt safe and noticed it was a guy from my school. By now he was making a lot of noise, and I didn't want him to wake up the children, so I helped him in and then decided to escort him out the back door. I told him that he had to leave through the back door. He was leaving, and I returned to the bed to listen to my music when the lights went out. I thought he was just playing a joke when I saw his shadow rush me on the bed. He attempted to rip my clothes and was dragging me hard off the bed to the floor. I was terrified because I thought my head would hit the bottom rail, so I complied. He continued to try to rape me until I asked if he had a condom. I was trying to buy time. I could have left, but was scared that he would pursue my little girl cousins in the next room. He found the condom, but I continued to fight. Thankfully, the door swung open and another cousin pushed him off of me. I saw in the bathroom for hours crying. Well, here it goes. I was raped for about 3 years, on and off. I live on a 4-acre piece of land, and it was one of our tenants' son. I was roughly 7 years old when it started. He was, I want to say, 11. It started with him convincing me to put his dick in my mouth for short periods of time, and when I told I wanted him to do it to mine, he knocked me out. Black eye and a busted lip. It gradually escalated until he began anally raping me about 1 to 5 times a week. I hung out with him quite often when he first moved in, so my parents didn't think anything of it when we would hang out for long periods of time. I remember quite vividly how he would skip church and come wake me up extra early almost every Sunday. One day he told me he wanted to go on a bike ride up the road, and so I told my parents I would be gone for a while, this being when I was probably 9, 10. As soon as we left my driveway and turned down the street, he kicked me off my bike and threw it over a nearby fence that I was way too small to get over. He looked at me then, and God, I can still hear him saying it, said, "All right, J asterisk 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 asterisk. Here is what we are really going to do today. We will wait for your mom to leave, then go back inside and play video games all day." I thought this was a fucking brilliant idea, and so we hid under my house and waited. When my mom finally left, he told me that if I didn't go into my house and bring him out my mom's jewelry box and all my money, that he would lock me in his room and do it rape me until I bled. I did as he commanded, and he did it anyway. His dad found the jewelry a month or so later and returned it, promising to discipline his child and to move away from our property because he didn't want to cause any more trouble. It was about 10 grand worth of jewelry. They left, and I never saw him again, until about a year ago when I was walking through a small town with some friends. The town we were in was notoriously full of crystal meth addicts that live in the back of a public parking lot. Well, anyway, we were on our way back to my friend's car when a man stumbles up to us asking for some food or money. That was when I recognized him. I wanted to do something so badly, to hit him as hard as I could, call the cops, anything. But instead I just watched in shock as he stumbled away. Really sorry for poor formatting/grammar. I have never told anyone this before, and I am finding it really hard to, well, say it. I am 16 years old, BTW. 7 years ago, I dated a guy for about 3 years who was controlling and abusive. I finally had enough and left him. He would threaten me if he found out I was dating someone else, he would kill me. He never wanted me to be with anyone else that wasn't him. Then I met my husband in college. About 2 years later, my ex-boyfriend sent me an email thinking my son was his. He was sending me emails about how he still thinks about me. I ignored them. He found me on Facebook and tried to be friends with me, sending me messages, and I blocked him. He started coming to my house drunk and on drugs. I never saw him, but my family was at my house when he showed up out of the blue, demanding to talk to me. It was at night when he would pop out of nowhere in the dark, asking for me. I called the police several times and they told me to get a restraining order. They can't do anything because he didn't destroy anything. I told them he opened my front and back gate and walked in, but they said I had to get a restraining order. I went to the courthouse to file a restraining order and was granted, but he never showed up at my house and my dad couldn't serve him, so the case was dropped. This happened for 2 years in the summertime when he showed up. It was June 2018, and I had my baby girl via C-section. I was at my house resting, recovering from surgery. I was happy to be home with my 2 babies. My daughter was taking a nap, and my son was next to me in bed, when I heard someone trying to open my back door. I thought it was husband since he went to the store, so I ignored it. Then I heard knocking and someone still trying to open my doorknob. I called my husband and he didn't pick up. I had a bad feeling, so I didn't say anything. I got up to check my security camera. It was in the living room and I had my phone with me. I checked my camera and I saw it was my ex-boyfriend. He looked like he had a weapon in his hand. I got scared and right away called the police. He started banging on my door and trying to force the door open. My 2 dogs were barking. They were both standing in the hallway by the door going crazy. The dispatcher was on the line with me the entire time. I was crying and shaking. It felt like forever. I was terrified because I was scared of this man. I saw him trying to look through my windows. He was walking very slow, trying to see me. I could see him, but he couldn't see me. My dogs followed and they wanted to get him. I saw him through the living room window. He was standing in front of my house, staring at my trees. And then he finally left. The police showed up and I showed the police officer the video of him and the weapon he had in his hand. The police told me they saw him walking in the back alley of my house. And I don't know what happened, but I haven't seen him since. I became traumatized and I can't be home alone. I get panic attacks. If I hear a noise, I have to check my security camera. I don't come out the house unless my husband is around or my 2 dogs are outside. When I was 19, I moved into my grandparents for college. It was December. The roads were extremely bad. I had to go get some cigarettes around 10:30 p.m., told my grandma I was going out and I wouldn't be gone very long. There was a gas station pretty close to where we lived and nothing was out of the ordinary. I parked in the lot closer to the mall than the gas station, went inside and bought smokes, then came outside. Walking back to the car, I was lighting a cigarette when a van came up to me. It was just some guy asking for a cigarette, so I opened my pack and gave one to him. That's when he grabbed my arm, I remembering trying to pull away. Several other men opened the side door of the van and pulled me inside. They beat the living shit out of me. I don't know how long it went on. They took off my clothes when I didn't have the strength to fight, called me names the entire time. Faggot wants this. Dumb fuck. Worthless. Took turns raping me. The others would either drive or continue to beat me. Surprisingly, they dropped me off by my car. I ran into it, locked the doors, made sure I wasn't being followed on the way home, and ran into the house. Next day I took a lot of heat for coming home late, started doing drugs, failed out of college. My sister was having lots of problems with suicidal tendencies, so I just kept it a secret so we could all focus on helping her. Didn't come out about it till I was 23. I'm 26 now, with a kid and an amazing girlfriend. I feel so lucky that I am managing as well as I am. Therapy and great family have been my lifesavers. I was leaving from Pex Hungary to Zurich, catching a flight there back to Boston via JFK and NYC. To get to Zurich, I needed to take a 5-hour bus ride to Budapest, take the subway a few stops until I reached the main rail station. I was tired, hungry, thirsty, and really had to shit by the time I got to Budapest. I decided to carry on and hold it until I got to the main railway station. I make it there just in the nick of time. Something about holding it in for that long really exhausted me, and I just wanted to get on the train and sleep. After waiting 2 hours, my train arrived and I found my cabin. There were two portly Hungarian girls already in there watching movies on their laptop, and they seemed very friendly and easygoing. I mingled a little to be friendly, but really just wanted to sleep. Then arrived disaster. These two Roma girls literally fell into our cabin laughing their heads off and blasting dance music on their Nokias. They were blasting 2 different songs on 2 different Nokias. Now I ride the subway every day in Boston, so I'm used to pricks who don't know how to use headphones, so I didn't think too much of it. They didn't speak a lick of English, but I guess really took a liking to me, since every time I closed my eyes, I would get poked in the side of the head and giggled at like I was an animal. They really wanted to talk to me through the other Hungarian girls, asking if I had a girlfriend, where I was from, occasionally breaking out a few lines of broken English themselves like "handsome boy," while petting my head. I believe in personal space, but I also know trying to argue with them would probably be futile. After a while, I fell into one of my books, realizing I would soon get no sleep. I don't know at what point this happened, but somebody broke out a porno and put it on the Hungarian girl's laptop. I would get poked, shown the porno, and laughed at. Now I'm no slouch. When it comes time to get nasty, I get nasty. But this was just not the time for this. I was not attracted to these girls. They smelled like a hockey player's foot, and I was going on 24 hours with no sleep. Plus, I had just left my girlfriend in Pecs, and I was/still am in love. I wasn't going to screw around. Finally, one of them puts her hand on my junk, bites my ear, and asks me, "You want sex me?" To which I replied, "Nem," taking her hand out of my lap. I then got a barrage of segfedge from the two Roma. Look it up. I spent the next 6 hours with these girls blasting music, poking me, berating me, and holding in a piss for fear of them riffling through my shit. I guess I'm kind of a pushover in these situations. I didn't want to overreact or lose my shit. I just wanted the train ride to end without getting stabbed or raped by 2 girls. I guess karma shifted my way in the long run. When we hit the Switzerland border, the girls were detained by Border Patrol, probably for being Roma. That sucks and everything. I know that the Roma people have a bad rap in Europe, but I hated these girls at this point. I hated them so hard. I got a good 1 hour of drifting in and out of naps, but I still felt like shit when we pulled into the Zurich train station. More good news when I arrived to Zurich airport. I found out they overbooked the flight, and I had been bumped up to first class. I went from sharing a cramped quarter with 2 Roma snookies to having a chair that turned into a bed, unlimited wine, and a 4-course meal. At the moment, I still don't know what happened 6-7 years ago when Mom and I, who were only 5 miles apart as she was in a local hospital for tests, told me she'd woken midweek to find a bunch of strangers at the foot of her hospital bed. Normally, I'd have been thinking, WTF hospital security is that? They could have been anyone sneaking in to rifle through her belongings or sexually assaulted her, etc. But I didn't think that because that same week I'd also woken, sat up, eyes wide open, and saw 4 people materialized in front of me, appearing as flesh and blood, physically present, in my room. One was more visible than the others. I believe I recognized the person on the far left as someone who, 18 years ago, tried to rob me of all my money when she colluded with a criminal impersonator who forged my signature on legal documents held by Santander Bank UK. And yes, this event was reported to police, who of course refused to get off their butts and do anything about it. So here's the thing. In 2014, my cat died as a result of a lockpicker who broke into my flat at night in Novern and assaulted him. The day after he died, Lucas appeared to me as I woke. Meow, I heard, after seeing him in my mind's eye standing just outside my bedroom door. He looked younger, In fact, he appeared to be half the age he'd been when he died 16 years. 24 hours later, my surviving sibling female cat and I both suddenly looked up at the exact same time towards the hall when I clearly heard a cat toy with a bell in it being pushed across the floor. The last time he played with cat toys, he was only 7-8 years old, so this data fits with him having since death reverted to a much younger age. When I saw the group of people, I saw the recognized person as if she were half the age she'd be today. So was that person actually in my mother's private hospital room as an intruder? Or has these people all died, and for a still unknown reason, appeared to us both at the same time? You can see why this is a tricky situation. It's easy to commit murder if you forge documents, falsify cancer test results, then use, accidental massive radiation treatment overdose to murder people. It never ceases to amaze me how few people think this is even possible.